All right, we are now streaming live. Fantastic. You guys help me out, Libby and Mike, Jim Booker. I'm going to give you a formal introduction here in just a sec. But how you doing? You guys all good?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Libby, I love the pearls behind you on the lights there. That looks fantastic.
Mike, yeah, Room Raider. That's good. Room Raider. That's look at that. Mike too.
I'm car
raider.
I'm at my venue, the Bright Side downtown. So got this beautiful bridal suite.
Oh man, that's
nice.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And look at great. Mike. Look, Mike, you're looking good, man. Look like you're in front of the mantle there with the candles and all that. Looks good.
Good to see everybody. Thanks so much for everybody's efforts and time today. This will be fun. No problem.
JB, looks like you're hanging out in the front seat of your van there or whatever.
Yeah, no, not a van. This is a brand new 2021 Jeep Renegade. Let's get it right.
Where'd you get it from?
That the bank owns. My good friends at Irwin Chrysler. My two daughters, all our cars went bad at the same time, so we picked up 3 cars in less than a month from Irwin. We made their quota.
We could do a Zoom just on Jim's ordeal here in the last couple of months, but I'll tell you what. Anyway, I guess we should probably we're kind of pedaling here till we get some live audience here. And for those of you tuning in, not only tune in, but tell your friends to tune in because we have a lot of cool stuff to share with you today. And it is all about the Dayton Foundation and their 100th anniversary. We wanted to do a live event because, let's be real, we want to go after a live audience because we're so tired of having to do these Zooms, but we know this is probably the best way to get to it now. And we're featuring our Dayton Foundation president, Mike Parks, an event, ladies and gentlemen, that's taken us 100 years in the making. And Mike, good to have you on, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you all. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'm Dan
Michael,
Edwards.
can I say real quick? I'm sorry for interrupting. Michael, can I say for 100 years old, Michael, you look awesome.
I know what you were thinking. Was I there at the start? That's what you were thinking, weren't you?
Well, I'm Dan Edwards, founder of Pivotal Media LLC and host of a Greater Dayton podcast powered by the Dayton Business Journal. And I am joined by my stellar co-hosts and media contemporaries, Libby Ballingy, founder of and formerly of the Gym City podcast. Libby, great to see you. And broadcast icon and Dayton area broadcaster, Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Jim Booker, owner of BookTVGuide.com. So this is where we officially do all of our niceties and say, thank you, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Welcome, everybody. Have you done many of these Facebook Lives, Jim, Libby?
I've done a few. I do a lot of music events, so I've been able to participate in some of those. But this is the first of this kind, so I'm really excited to be with you guys.
And JB, I know you've been on a few live ones too.
Yeah, we're trying to ramp it up a little bit with our business. Most Facebook Lives are one camera, so we are working right now with all the technology out there. You can basically I could take Mike's phone, Libby's phone, Dan's phone. We can hook it up to a tablet, and we can do multiple cameras. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very cool. We want to thank Soteria Brown with the foundation too for putting all the technical stuff together. We'd like to call her up right now, but she won't do it. So, Soteria, thank you. Well, anyway, for those of you tuning in live now, don't forget to share your comments with us. We want to hear what you have to say. After all, this is your foundation too. And we just want to share the excitement of the 100th anniversary of the Dayton Foundation, one of the most prolific nonprofit organizations in America. And we're almost to the halfway mark of the Dayton Foundation's year-long celebration. But, instead of the Dayton Foundation receiving gifts on their 100th birthday, well, they're actually doing what they've been doing for the last 100 years, is showering gifts of financial support on worthy organizations here in the Dayton region. And we're happy to be a part of this and to let you know about it more. And Libby, I kind of wanted to start out with you, if you could, to talk with Mike about kind of their humble beginnings or wherever you want to share. Libby, why don't you take it from here?
Thank you so much, Dan. Mike, it is great to talk with you again. I think the first time I met you, my first question authentically was, what is the Dayton Foundation? Because it has this sort of sort of esoteric title. And I think there's some people in Dayton who aren't familiar with exactly what the Dayton Foundation is. So can you explain to us what you guys do?
Yeah, so you can have a company can have a foundation, right? Or a individual family might have a foundation. We're what's called, Libby, a community foundation. So rather than one company or one foundation, we're a place where everybody can be a philanthropist. So over our 100-year history, all the way back to 1921, there's now about 4,000 individuals, families, companies, businesses that have come together, and they all say, I want to do something good for the community. We're a common, efficient place for people that want to do good things. And people often say you don't give to the Dayton Foundation, you give through the Dayton Foundation. So we're a way for people that want to make a difference, and our job every day is to help people help others.
I love that. And I'm a little bit of a nerd, honestly. I love history. And I was just wondering what was happening 100 years ago to spur the creation of the Dayton Foundation. Who started this and what prompted it?
Yeah, and back in 1921, John Patterson of NCR and his family were the first donors and started the Dayton Foundation. And in Libby, it's a really interesting story. The first community foundation, there's now over 800 in America, but we are number 18. And the first one was up the street in Cleveland about 6 or 7 years before us. And an individual that worked at NCR, Frank Garland, was actually at a meeting in Cleveland at a bank. And somebody started talking about the Cleveland Community Foundation, the first community foundation. And Frank got smitten by this idea that everybody can be a philanthropist. Anybody that wants, not just the uber wealthy, right? Everybody can be a philanthropist. And he came back, and John Patterson is, as you know, Libby, is known for a lot of innovative new ideas in our community, city government, the system on our rivers with the dams, all kinds of very creative ideas. And Frank came back and talked to his boss and said, I think you're going to be interested in this. This is a way for everybody that wants to get involved. There's a place for them at their community foundation. And John Patterson really bought into the idea and took it on himself to get this established. There's a biography over at the library downtown about John Patterson. And in 1918, there's actually a picture of a drawing that he wrote in 1918, and it sketched out his goals for that year. He had community goals, he had business goals, he had family goals, and under community goals, he said number 2 on his list was start the Dayton Foundation.
Oh, wow.
It took him a couple years after that, but 1921 we got rolling with an initial gift, and now some 4,000 families and individuals later continue to hopefully help people that want to help others.
I think there was a lot of people that came together after the flood, and so that makes sense for everyone to sort of have that spirit of wanting to take care of each other. So I love that. But from those humble beginnings to now, it's my understanding that the Dayton Foundation is the largest of these types of community giving funds in the entire country. Do I have that right?
That sounds really impressive, but unfortunately, no. It would be great to jump on that bandwagon, Libby, but what I will say is for our size community, we have one of the most active and largest for our size community. So these 800 plus community foundations in America, we're not the largest in terms of dollars, but we're disproportionately large. We're 35th or so in the country. The piece that I think we're really proud of, though, if you said, what community foundations have the most funds? So Jim has a scholarship fund. We'll talk a little about in a minute. Jim's an example of one of the donors that have stepped forward and said, I want to do something. He set up a scholarship fund. That's an example of one fund. Another donor might have a fund for their church or their synagogue. Somebody else may say, I want to help the arts, or I want to help individuals that want to go to camp, or whatever's in your heart, right? And if you said these 4,000 funds that we have, that puts Dayton second in the country. So we're not necessarily the biggest or the largest, but if you said people that want to step forward, that want to help their neighbors, that want to do something good, we have a lot to be proud of here in Dayton, Ohio.
We have the most people that want to do the most good.
Per capita, right? Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
That's awesome.
One of the reasons I personally support the Dayton Foundation is because these funds directly impact things that really matter to the community, whether it's the immediate, like the 2019 tornado and the shooting tragedies, or long-term supporting the disabled and our youth and our elderly. Dayton Foundation has been there with funds and resources. And I'm personally so thankful for all the gifts to the arts that have been made through the foundation, because it's truly made a difference to our performing and visual arts organization. So Mike, I want to thank you for everything the foundation has been doing. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's really all about the donors, right? You know, somebody says, oh, the Dayton Foundation has, you know, $700 million in assets. We don't have a penny. What we really have is 4,000 individuals, families. We have Jim's resource. Our job's to be stewards. So we're very fortunate, Libby, that we've had individuals that have come before us that said, I do care about the arts, right?
Mhm.
And I want to make sure that the arts are here for my kids and grandkids and for those that follow. You know, great example of that's the Virginia Toolman Fund. You know, she left that at the discretion of the foundation. And she said, I'm interested in arts. I'm interested in these types of things. Dayton Foundation, take care of that. Make sure that, you know, forever's a long time, right? So I don't want to rule from the grave, and make sure that those resources are put to good use. So we're fortunate to have donors that have come before us that allow us to do that. So thank you for mentioning that.
Cool,
And not
Libby.
to interrupt, but to think of I apologize, but to think of the foresight with Patterson, to think, you know, and not to sound maudlin, but we all have a death sentence, right? We're all going to pass one day. For him and the group to think, hey, I want to leave something that's going to help my community in the city he loved, right? I mean, absolutely loved Dayton and the Miami Valley. I mean, that's got to say something right there. And that continues with people, you know, like my fund, others that donate money. Long after I'm gone, it's going to still help.
And Jim, tell us about that. You tell us about the fund that you established with Mike and the foundation, and where that stands right now.
Well, you know, I didn't know much about the Dayton Foundation, and a lot of people that I talk to still don't, but a lot do. And Dan, you were in the news a long time as I was, and we'd see all the worst things human beings do to other human beings. And we're human too in the newsroom, believe it or not. I mean, we have to be kind of down the middle and present the facts, but it affects you. And I met this young man, 17-year-old Wahid Abdullah, doing a story on a neighborhood grocery. There are not many of those left. And he was the kindest young man. And we got to talking. He's a wrestler at Colonel White at the time, and found out later he had a full scholarship, wrestling scholarship, to go to Ohio State University. Well, it was the summer before he was supposed to start school. He was out with some friends. His dad gave him the okay, just come in early, you know, this kind of thing. And he was unfortunately carjacked. And as he was running from his car, he was shot and killed, shot in his back and killed. And I just, it affected me so, like, I can't explain it, to the point where I rallied media people, the Dayton Daily News. I mean, Cheryl McHenry, everybody came out of the woodwork to help and promote it. And long story short, the ironic thing of this whole thing is about a month earlier, he had won a contest on black violence in the youth community. And he wrote this wonderful essay, and the Dayton Daily News, God love them, printed the whole thing, full page ad for free, to show what this young man was about. You talk about affecting you. I'm thinking about it now, I start getting misty-eyed. So we decided we're going to do some fundraisers, comedy club, Joker's Comedy Club at the time. Jimmy Pardo, a great comedian, every time he'd come into town, he'd say, I'll give you 3 of my shows, and he would give us the money. And then I'm like, now what do I do with it? I'm going to get taxed on this. I got, so somebody mentioned the Dayton Foundation, Salim, another comedian. He says, let's put it in there. And that's how the ball got rolling. So we hand out $1,000 every year. And this was not to keep rambling, this was 27 years ago.
Wow.
So I think of Wahid at 18, losing his life, 17, 18, and where he would be now. Family, kids, you know, business owner, strong member of the community, what have you. And it just breaks your heart. But to know that we're continuing the good that he was, is just, it warms your heart.
Well, Mike, that's what this foundation is all about, isn't it? Just like you say, 4,000 families making it work, like Jim did.
Absolutely. And Jim's story is a perfect example. Our job at the foundation isn't to tell you what to do. It's to listen and try to pull out of your heart what it is that you're trying to help and what you want to do, and make that happen, and be good stewards of those funds to make sure that what's in your heart continues forever. And those stories are so diverse and so wonderful. Sending, kids to scout camp or to Y camp that can't afford to go. Libby mentioned, arts, performing arts, visual arts, dance, to help eradicate homelessness in our community. Families set up donor advised funds. They say, hey, I'd like our family to meet and to make decisions on where the money goes. We go, that's great. How can we help you do that? So the list goes on and on. Designated funds. What happens if you make a gift to your synagogue during your lifetime or your church or your temple, and you say, well, what happens when I'm gone? What if I want to make a designated gift to help those groups that I've been supporting in my life? Those are just some examples of ways that people can get involved. And some people think, obviously there's people of significant means that have set up funds. There's also many, many, many people of very modest means. That goes all the way back, Libby, to your question, and with Frank Garland and with John Patterson. There's a place for everybody at the foundation. Everybody can be a philanthropist. You don't have to go set up a big private foundation and do all the filings and do all the back room. It's easy, it's quick, it's inexpensive, and there's a place for everybody at the foundation.
And I love how you guys, Dan, I'm sorry. I love how you guys, you morph. So there's not a lot of red tape. It's not a government agency. So when we did have the tragedy in the Oregon district and the tornadoes, you guys went, okay, this is what we're going to do. And it was like overnight. You set up a fund and it, clicked with people. I just love that, how nimble you are to the needs of not only the future and what we need, but what's happening now. So
it's the last almost 2 years since the tornadoes. It's been tough on our community, right? We had the tornadoes Memorial Day not quite 2 years ago. 90 days later, we had the shooting in the Oregon district, and then soon after that, the pandemic. And boy, I tell you, Dayton, we're going all the way back. Libby, your point about what was in the DNA at that time. There is something in the DNA of Daytonians. They stepped forward after the floods. Anytime there's a need, the tornadoes in 1978, the list goes on. And the last 2 years are no different. We have such caring people. There were, between those three efforts, the pandemic, the shooting fund for the families that were impacted in the Oregon district, and also the tornadoes, there were over 8,000 gifts. And those gifts, many of them represented events. So if somebody said, I'm having a concert, there's 700 people at the concert, we're all raising the money, we counted that as one gift, but there was 700 people all threw money in the bucket.
That's awesome.
People selling t-shirts. So there were tens of thousands of gifts of people saying, I want to help my neighbors. And boy, time and time again, Daytonians step forward to say, we'll help. But it's really amazing. And we all know because we live here, but just what a special place it is for philanthropy.
And it's special that we have everybody watching us right now live here on Facebook. And Soteria tells me that we have close to 2 million people now watching. Okay, maybe not that many, but we appreciate each and every one of you. And leave us comments if you could too. And I want to talk a little bit about this campaign. 100 gifts for 100 years. You're at the halfway point now. So, Mike, how long have you and the gang there at the foundation been planning all this?
Well, I tell you, we've got a marketing committee that started 4 years ago. As I mentioned, 1921, we're number 18. So we had a few people ahead of us to learn what others had done to celebrate their 100th anniversary. And our marketing committee, just kept plugging and thinking. They landed on this idea of let's ask 100 of our donors to make an additive gift back to something they care about in the community. And what a tremendous idea the marketing group came up with in terms of it's additional, it's something in their heart, it's something they always wanted to do, and it brings attention to all the wonderful nonprofits in our community. So tomorrow we're going to make the 50th gift.
Awesome.
So we're halfway, and we got another 5 or 6 months of gifts to celebrate. And we're approaching the $1 million mark already for the first half of the efforts. And the stories, you can go to our webpage at DaytonFoundation.org. Each of the clips are on there. You can read all about the wonderful first 50 gifts. just, scholarship funds to help kids from Sinclair go to UD, and efforts to help Catholic Social Services with their work. And the list it's just absolutely heartwarming to see all the wonderful stories and people stepping forward to say, here's something I've never supported that I'd really like to support. And it's just been wonderful.
Mike, how do we do that? If somebody's watching us right now, how do they get involved?
Well, for the 100 gifts, those stories will continue through September. So those are kind of telling those stories are locked in. But by telling those stories, lots of folks say, how can I get involved?
Sure.
And just reach out to the Dayton Foundation. Our website's daytonfoundation.org, and talk to one of our staff. We can sure help you figure out what's the right and best way for you all to get involved. And we'll help you figure it out.
We've got a couple of comments coming in here from Allison Cox, who says it was amazing to see how quickly the Dayton Foundation stepped in to help during recent tragedies. And Sandy Eric Murdry said that she's so thankful for the Dayton Foundation. We're thankful for them. So we can get involved here with the foundation, do what Jim did. I mean, I think that's awesome. Libby, I mean, you talked about the arts. I mean, it's all encompassing what the foundation does under one roof. And you're down on South Main Street, the physical location, but because of COVID, you're not back in the office quite yet, though, are you?
No, we got a new partnership with for office space right on South Main, just south of next to the UD campus. It's a partnership with the University of Dayton and the Dayton Development Coalition that also has lots of great community space. So unfortunately, soon after we moved in, we had COVID, but we're going back in next month, and we're excited to get back into our space and invite there's a lot of groups have been early on used the space for meetings and so on, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody and getting back into the swing of things.
And Melody Bennett, House of Bread, received a gift early on in this effort, and they are very, very appreciative. And JB, I know you know Melody very well as well.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's a wonderful person, and took over for Bill Evans, who founded it, Bill Evans, the Evans Bakery, and just does a wonderful job. You talk about somebody putting 200% of her heart into something. She is wonderful.
Well, listen, we need to kind of wrap this up here. We've got people in their business day. We're probably costing them money here, but Libby, do you want to sing happy birthday to Mike and the foundation? Or do you want us all? Well, you're the arts person, right?
Wait, do we have to pay some kind of rights to sing happy birthday? We got to be careful. Just sing a couple of bars.
Listen, any closing thoughts you guys might have here?
Well, I'd like to just say, Michael, thank you for your leadership. I've known Michael at least 6 months. No, it's been a while, back in the YMCA days. And when I heard you were coming on board at the Dayton Foundation, I thought, perfect, just a perfect fit.
Really?
So I want to thank you personally for handling my money. I wish you could handle my checking account, because I just can't figure that out. But thank the good Lord you're handling it and I'm not.
Yeah.
And if I can quickly, real quick, we just completed our 2021 Wahid Abdullah Scholarship.
Cool.
We had great judges: Montgomery County Commissioner Debbie Lieberman, our friend Sharon Howard from Premier Health, James Brown, the one and only godfather of local news at Channel 7, who's also related to Michelle, who works for the Dayton Foundation. But at any rate, I call myself the other JB. And Chris Sproles, who's a producer, photographer, Emmy winner for Wright State Communications, and myself. So Jade Eilers, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Jade Eilers, she's a senior. She's going into communications. She wins gets the $1,000 toward college, which isn't a lot, but it's going to cover. It's going to cover.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. Every little bit helps for sure.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Boy, that's wonderful, Jim. Thank you. And to your group, that's what it's all about. That's exactly what it's all about.
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, we had 6 candidates, and they, like the late great, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. The late great Jenny Strasberg, who we lost last December, and not a lot of people know about it because it was not in the paper. She's a very private person, but she worked for the local utility company in a foundation. And she always told me, and we became great friends after I left Channel 2. She left DPNO, greater friends. And she always said, there's so many out there that need money. I would like to hand it to everybody and I can't. And that was her toughest decision on who gets it and when and how much. So God love her. She helped me every year and was a judge, and she is dearly missed, and was a wonderful, wonderful person.
That's good, Jim. Thank you for mentioning that, man. That's awesome. And Libby, how about you, man? Any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I've been watching the clips of the gifts, as Mike was talking about, and I love the stories. I love the ideas that people come up with to give these gifts. So for those of you who are watching that are curious to keep up with the gifts, go to DaytonFoundation.org to watch the clips, to learn about the gifts. For me personally, I feel like I'm like thinking of gifts I'm gonna need to get with Mike soon and set up my own foundation. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to get to that 100th gift and see them all. And I applaud everyone who's taken an extra effort to give these gifts to the community, because we really need it.
Mike, any thoughts from you?
Look forward to the next 50 gifts here over the next few months. It'll be a lot of fun. Just appreciate all three of your help and support today. And most importantly, we just appreciate all the good work that folks in our community doing. The 100 givers to the campaign, and each and every day the people that step forward to help their neighbors. And we're just blessed and fortunate to live in a community such that we do.
I mean,
keep up the good fight. Keep up the good fight, man. Keep up the good fight.
1 million up to this point. Mike, where do you think we'll wind up after 100 gifts? Around 2 million total this year?
A big number. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. Big number.
Fair enough.
You can't give us a tease on who the 50th is. Come on.
Give us a scoop.
If we're at 1 million now, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
And that's going to be announced when? When will that be announced?
End of September 30th.
All right.
Okay.
DaytonFoundation.org if you want to follow along. Fantastic. Again, thanks to Soteria Brown, who is actually that green tree right there on your screen. We appreciate that. The green tree. I like that. And please join Mike and Michelle Lovely, who's the Vice President of Development and Donor Services, and myself for a deeper dive into the Dayton Foundation's 100th anniversary on my upcoming podcast, A Greater Dayton with Dan Edwards, powered by the Dayton Business Journal. And we're ready for download on that May 24th and wherever you get your podcast. So on behalf of Mike Parks, Libby Ballingy, and Jim Booker, I'm Dan Edwards. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy birthday, Dayton Foundation. And we won't sing, I guess, right?
Probably not. Not a good idea.
See you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.